They bring in Amari Cooper. What a move. But it feels like there was two big name, big trades yesterday in the AFC East. I like that move as well.
Yeah, this is and what did Amari posted something, right? He didn't seem like he was too upset to leave Cleveland. Am I right?
Move or rust or something like that.
So meaning like they weren't using him like they should, or they weren't getting the production that he deserves. Is that what he's saying?
I think he was saying if I stay here too long, I get rusty.
Ooh, yeah,
nice route.
Makes sense.
It was a great route, and I had the Hembo stat that got sent over. Something about like his average touchdown length is like 27 yards or something like that. I forget
his
the
career.
exact. Yeah.
He's known to be able to score from anywhere.
Is what Hembo said in this entire thing. And it's like, if Josh Allen adds that piece to the puzzle, which they had with Stephon, even though the last 2 years it has not gone great statistically for the deep ball, it's like, add another explosive playmaker. If he's anything, now there is a chance because of what was traded. Maybe the Cleveland Browns see this guy in practice. They say, this guy can't catch a football anymore.
He lost.
This guy got the yips.
Yeah.
This guy just can't catch a football anymore.
Yeah.
And they feel like they just absolutely fleeced the Buffalo Bills with this trade. There's maybe that is the case. You know, maybe Amari just completely forgot how to play football, can't catch a ball anymore, and everything like that. But if you just think about what Brady is going to do with Amari Cooper, you have to immediately agree, the Buffalo Bills got a lot better yesterday. And the Cleveland Browns made a decision to get rid of one of their best players. Like, what does that say about the Raiders? What does that say about the Browns? I don't want to keep harping on that, but that's a pretty big decision this early in the season to do that. And what, you just gave, is it the Browns?
I mean, they are, I would say both receivers are a little older. So it's not like moving on from them will be like trading, Max Crosby in still in his 20s.
That was D-Bot that said that.
No, I'm just
not happening, D-Bot.
I've been saying it for the last couple of weeks. Davante Adams is still in the prime of his career, but I can see you moving off him, especially those 2 years left in his contract that aren't guaranteed. And then when you get, and then for the other side, so the buyers in the situation like New York, hey, I'm getting a great piece that I know fits in with the quarterback, knows the offensive system, will be a seamless fit, is going to be a great player. And the same thing with Amari Cooper. Maybe he's not where Davante Adams is, but he's a wide receiver that can run the complete route tree and has a complete understanding of the game, of coverages, of situations, of routes, of time and space, and all those different things. It's going to help that young group of pass catchers, also get open. And then, Joe Brady wants to run the football, and that offensive line, they want to run the football as well. So I think both of these situations, I think it's good on the buying end, and I can see where they're coming from, I guess, on the selling end too, with both teams.
Yeah, and I guess the Cleveland Browns are just moving on from Amari Cooper, who hasn't been great for them this year, is what they'd say.
Yeah.
So this isn't a statement of any kind, but
what has?
Exactly. Just a few months ago, Davante was the pillar of the Raiders, what they were going to build around.
Mm-hmm.
Now he's on another team. It's wild. It's crazy. We're going into week 7. It is
going to heat up.
Huge move yesterday. Amari Cooper becomes a Buffalo Bill. I think it's like a 7th and 5th or 6th, and then a 3rd. You get it. There was some movement. And my immediate reaction to this deal was, wow, didn't know this was possible to get Amari Cooper for a 3rd-round pick, seemingly. And then also, what a win for the Buffalo Bills in this offense. You guys are sitting at 4-2. You're leading the AFC East. Massive win on Monday. And then, bang, next day you make a trade. How long has this been a thought that you need to add a weapon? When did you know Amari was potentially available? And how easy of a decision is that for you to make for your team?
Yeah, I mean, we were definitely been monitoring. People kept tabbing us to Davante Adams once that situation kind of reared in Vegas a couple of weeks ago that he was looking for a new home, and they seemed open to it. At the same time, we were having conversations quietly with a couple other teams, just seeing where they were at. Every team's kind of in different spots, and sometimes it's, hey, if we can win this week, we want to hang in there. We're only a game back or 2 games back. And so definitely had some conversations with Cleveland. And, Andrew Berry's a great dude. We've done deals before. And so we talked last week. And then after that, we played with us playing on Monday night, then playing Sunday. We talked again on Sunday night after their game. He was still trying to decide. They don't, no team wants to give a player away, but you're also looking at the now and the future. And so talked to him Monday, again, Sunday night, again Monday. And then ultimately, I told him let's touch base after our game, Tuesday morning, and things got hot and heavy yesterday morning.
Okay, does the Davante trade expedite anything, or did you not really know that had taken place by the time these starts really got hot and heavy, shall we say, on Tuesday morning?
Yeah, I mean, by the time we heard Davante was done, we were at the finish line. We were down to those last arguing the 6 versus the 7 of this year or that year. But we felt good about it. I think they felt good about it. I had, talking to our ownership, Andrew had spoken to his. So we were almost there. And a couple hours later, we got it done.
Okay, so the Jets trade for Davante Adams, and everybody's saying they're going all in. They're going all in this year. You guys trade for Amari Cooper. What is this message for this particular season with this team, Bean?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we're still all in. If this didn't happen, if Cleveland was not ready to do it, we were going to continue to monitor. And listen, we still got a few weeks for the deadline. If we feel there's something else that we need or can help us get over the top, we have been all in all along. I know we lost some names this offseason, some guys who have been captains. This was kind of what I said was an offseason of transition. But the mindset here, as long as Josh Allen's our quarterback, is we're going to try and win this thing, and we're going to do what we can every single year.
Hell yeah. Go ahead, AJ.
I guess, how many people maybe are involved in the last week or so, and like how many people know that you're talking to Amari Cooper and it's close to you? Even like, do you talk to Josh Allen? Is he aware of it before it happens? And what do you think their connection will be like?
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty low key, AJ. I keep it pretty low. Josh will prod me here and there. I may throw a name too and just say, I'm looking. Don't get your hopes up.
What if he takes back trash? What if
he says crop? I don't want it. Yeah.
Then I tell him just go do his job and let me do mine.
There you go.
He's pretty good at his job, way better than I am at mine. But we got a good relationship like that. He loves to give input. He loves to hear, but he also knows he's not studying the film, and so he always has a good perspective on the deals we can do. And sometimes the deals we can't do.
Let's talk about what he brings to your team. Hembo sent over some stats. I think his average touchdown length is like 27 and a half yards or something like that. Like, I forget what it is for Amari Cooper, but it's through the roof. He's able to score from everywhere. He's an explosive player, big catch radius, not scared to go up in traffic to do that. Why is Amari Cooper the one that you brought to your team? And since when did you realize maybe we do need to add another weapon? This team without Stephon Diggs this year, first time. When did you start peeking around thinking maybe you need a new weapon, and why Amari Cooper?
Yeah, I mean, we'll start with Amari there, Pat. It's just he's a guy I've always admired from afar. When I was in Carolina, he came out in 2015. Actually went out to Alabama with Ricky Prohl, our receiver coach, and Amari was not going to work out. But we were not picking as high as he got picked. But he was, you always want to do your due diligence. So we spent probably 2 hours watching film with him, took him out to dinner, and really got a feel for his love of ball, his understanding of football. Super football smart, passionate. It was just kind of really, we opened some of his practice film at Bama, and he broke it down for us. And I left there going, man, this guy would be a great addition. Obviously, the Raiders took him, I think, like number 3 or number 4 overall that year. So really just been watching his career from afar, and you never know when an opportunity is going to strike like this. And so just the timing of him going into his last year, Cleveland where they're at, and we had to work it in. Luckily, as you mentioned, we found a guy who they had already restructured his deal. We're tight on the cap, and so that made this a more doable deal for us than, say, a Davante Adams or some of the other guys that I may have been looking at. And as far as adding a weapon for us, I'm always looking. You're always trying to, how can you make it better? It's not just a collection of talent. It's got to fit within the team and the scheme of what you're doing. And so this is, I look at kind of your weapons as like a basketball team. Who's going to play the point guard? Who's going to be your forward? Who's going to be your center? Just another piece for Josh and Joe Brady to kind of throw into the mix. And, he's going to have to get up to speed on our offense. We'll get him in the game this week, but beyond that, it'll be how quick he can kind of get things up to speed here.
A package for him until he figures it all out. I think Buffalo Bills fans are going to be pumped to see him go on the field any moment over there. And if I'm a Buffalo Bills fan, anytime I've heard you speak, I'd be excited. On our show, we've asked you before about these types of things and being active, and you're like, "Oh, I'll snoop around. Yeah, I'm not above making a call. I'm not." And then all of a sudden, boom, Amari Cooper, after a massive division win on a Monday Night Football, 4-2 leading division, we're adding in there. Bills Mafia, you got an aggressive team. That's a beautiful thing. Now, to make that move, a lot of decisions have to be made. AQ has a question for you, Bean.
Yeah, it seems like a no-brainer to offer a third-round pick for Amari or Davante Adams, and I don't understand why every team doesn't do that, but it's always fascinating to me why you give up the whole farm to move up 4 picks in the first round. what is the threshold when you're going to make a trade on, is it a third-round pick, is it a second-round pick, and what does the process go into that?
Yeah, I mean, great question, AQ. Everyone's kind of got its own dynamic. What's the cap ramifications? What's the cash? How many years do you have? And, what does next year's draft look like? What do you already have? With the Stephon Diggs move, we added an extra 2 coming into this draft. So we have a 1, 2, 2s. And so I kind of looked at it as we're still going to get 3 picks in the first 3 rounds. It's just going to be actually in the first 2. And, last year we were really beat up at corner during the season. And so we had to move. We did a pick swap of moving our 3rd with a 5th with Green Bay to get Rasul Douglas, who helped us down the stretch. And then this past draft, I figured out a way to get that 3rd back. We moved back a little bit, used the 3rd, and it turned out to be Dwayne Carter, who's played a lot of minutes for us this year at D tackle. So I'm also going, man, I'm a competitive dude, AQ. Like if there's somebody that we think we're going to like in the 3rd, I'll try and move back again in one of those 3 picks to still possibly pick a 3rd rounder next year.
Bean, we get so confused though. Like my immediate response to that trade yesterday was that this feels like a heist, was actually what I said. But it feels like players all feel differently than the people that are doing the selections. It seems like GMs and personnel and everybody, like those draft picks are worth so much. And we as players in a locker room have seen so many players just be busts, just like not work out. And the numbers are very high for the amount of don't work out players that get drafted in, let alone the first round. That number's very high. 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, all of them. But people hold on to them dear. Like it is a massive. When you get a proven player, for us, it's like an easy decision. Like Randy Moss was what, a 4th round pick or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
So.
And I was like, I think what they like open, like what? Randy Moss, a 4th round pick? Is that something whenever you're talking to other GMs about how much they value draft picks? And why is that? Because like the hope of what that person can become.
Yeah, I mean, every pick's got its own value, let's say, but I'm with you. We probably sometimes overvalue them because a known commodity is super important. And I think in this, I'm more willing to do it now. As you said, we're 4-2. We got a 2-game lead for a known commodity versus in the spring when the draft's upcoming. Unless I just feel like it's going to be a weak draft or there's not going to be depth in the round that I'm potentially moving a pick. So. I think it's a fair point to say, maybe we do overvalue them sometimes, but there's also the analytics world that says every time you select a player, it's like a swing, an at bat, using a baseball term, and so I think people are saying, hey, if I get 8 at bats, 9 at bats, 10 at bats, maybe I'm going to hit 3 or 4 because we're all issued 7 at bats every draft, right? And then but. Right now we're projected to have if the comp formula falls its way, we're still hoping to have 10 at bats this year.
So you're gonna have 10 at bats and you have Amari Cooper. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That seems like bullshit, doesn't it? That doesn't seem like a bunch of bullshit.